Hey guys! So today I wanted to talk about two things that are really close to my heart and that I deal with every day. I'm sure that there are more like me out there, so I just wanted to maybe give some insight. And that is what it's like being a reseller with chronic illness, specifically invisible illness, and what it's like being a reseller with autism. So, on the chronic illness side of things, I have been dealing with um, several seemingly unrelated health issues for several years, and they've just been getting worse and worse, and now it's starting to seem like they're all connected. Before I was a reseller, I was a nanny, and I worked for the most amazing family. I got so lucky, loved the kids, loved the parents. I had vacation time and all this stuff, but I felt so bad because I was constantly calling in sick because it was just the way I am, I just have this chronic illness. I don't know what it is. It's not like I have doctor's notes or anything. So I was constantly like leaving work or calling in sick or whatever. And I just felt so bad. I felt like my employer shouldn't have to deal with that. So then when my employer told me that she was losing her job, so I would be losing mine, I was honestly kind of relieved because I'd been wanting to work from home for so long and I needed something to kick me into it. But it's tough. It is tough even working for myself with a chronic illness. It's just tough working when you're in chronic pain or this whole slew of things that I'm having to deal with. It's really hard. And then also this year, I found out that I have autism. I am on the autism spectrum, which is something I never knew. I never would have thought. I had never even looked into until this year. And then I went and got diagnosed, and it's kind of, it's been very enlightening. There are some things, some traits I have that it just like opened up this whole world. Everything in my life leading up to this point now makes sense. But so I want to talk about both those things. As far as being a reseller with chronic illness, I think the number one key and the number one thing that I've had to learn is to not beat myself up. There's all these YouTubers and Instagrammers and bloggers who, post 50 or 100 items a day, and they're constantly out thrifting and they're constantly going to yard sales, and that's great, and that it does help me to stay motivated, but at the same time, you can't look at those people and think that you're going to sell at the same rate or that, you're going to have the energy to do all of those things, because I just don't. If I list 20 items a day, that is an amazing day. And I feel so proud of myself, and I've just had to kind of readjust my way of thinking. That's great for them, and maybe someday I'll be at that point. I hope someday I'll feel good enough to get there, but I just don't right now, and that's okay. And I can look at those posts and look at those people and say, good for you, that's amazing. Maybe someday I'll be there, but right now it's just not realistic. The other sort of main bullet point of reselling when you're sick is you have to work when you feel good, and you have to work hard when you feel good. And then when you don't, just rest and don't feel bad about it. You have to take time for yourself. You have to take time to rest and, make sure you're taking all your meds or that you're getting out of the house. Just self-care. I think kind of in our society we see that as wasting time or just not being productive enough. And that kind of goes along with the last point. Like, it just is what I have to do to get by, and that's okay. And I've just had to really kind of like pound that into my head that it's okay. It's what I have to do to feel good and to get work done, to take time for myself. And another thing that I've started looking into is ordering wholesale inventory rather than going out thrifting. That, I think, for anybody with a chronic illness is a really great option because you don't know when you're going to feel good. You know, I might wake up tomorrow and have no inventory to list, but I don't feel quite good enough to go out to the thrift store and source. So having inventory on hand, I think, is a great thing for anybody who just doesn't feel good all of the time. Like, it is so hard, but I am so incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity to work and make money and stay home. You know, I think that if I didn't have this, if I didn't have reselling, I would probably be depending on my partner or a part-time job that I hate. And I love that I can make my own money and that I can be self-sufficient and still take the time to do the things that I need to do to feel okay and to get by. So then on the sort of autism side of things, that has been really interesting. I've never worked from home before. I've never worked for myself. And I also haven't worked in like a traditional retail environment or, you know, a 9 to 5 in quite a while. I've been nannying for some time. And jobs like this, or like being a nanny, I think are perfect for somebody, at least, you know, speaking from my perspective, has been perfect for me because you have to interact with fewer people. You don't have to be quite as social. I also love kids. They kind of take the pressure. Interacting with them is not as nerve-wracking as interacting with an adult or somebody closer to your age. But the number one thing I think I've had to learn being a reseller with autism is that I've had to find my routine. You know, when I was nannying, I got up at 4:30, I was at work by 7, I was off at 4. It was like this, I had this perfect like morning routine down pat. I love routines. And I had to find that for myself because I can sleep in, you know, I could sleep in until noon, then the next day get up at 6, and then the next day I might get up at 9, but it just, that doesn't work for me at all. Like, I have to do the same thing every day or know what I'm going to be doing the next day. That's been a big key for me on the autism side of things, is finding a routine. And I think that that helps with chronic illness too, because if I'm eating similar things every day, if my timeline of when I get up and when I go to bed and when I'm eating my meals is the same every day, I feel better physically too. So that has helped, finding a routine. I've also had to learn not to force myself into situations that I hate. To give you an example, every Monday at the Goodwills around here, the tag color of the week goes on sale for $1. So Mondays at my Goodwills are kind of insane. Not like Goodwill outlet insane. I don't have those. I've finally been to one, but not quite that crazy. But I mean, people line up and they're so packed and you just can't hardly get down the aisles. And it's a great time to get like bread and butter items, but I've had to learn I can't do it. I can't go in the morning. I can't get in line and, you know, rummage through, try and make my way through the aisles of those jam-packed Goodwills. I can't do it. I can't process it. So if I'm going to go on a Monday, if I'm going to go on a $1 day, I go in the evening when it's kind of picked over. I've just had to accept, like, that's okay, or I'm going to have to pay a little bit more for those things throughout the week and avoid Monday altogether. But just situations that I can't stand, I don't make myself do anymore. Let's see. I also take customer service issues very personally. So whenever I get a eBay alert on my phone and I check it and it's a new message from a customer, I get so nervous. It's awful. And I don't have anybody else, to take care of the customer service issues for me. But, I make mistakes just like everybody else, and I have to deal with them. And I think I probably deal with them in a more extreme manner than a lot of people. Like, if somebody has an issue with something, I'm like, oh my God, have a refund. Like, I'm so sorry. And I will think about that all day, that I messed up and that I screwed that customer over. And that's really hard. I feel things very personally, and I know that that's not good in this business, but it is what it is. I've just got to deal with it. Another thing, this kind of goes back to not forcing myself into situations I hate, but I thrift with headphones in. I just stick my earbuds in, I listen to podcasts or music or whatever, and I just go from one end of the store to the other. And I love thrifting so much more since I discovered that. I think it was Nicole State's Instagram I was watching, and she was like, always have your headphones. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Helps me so much. I don't have to deal with chitter chatter or, the sucky music on the radio. I can just get it done, and I get it done so much faster, weirdly. Let's see. Having to take breaks in the middle of things is also really hard for me. So if I'm on a roll getting listings up and suddenly I realize, oh shoot, it's 4 o'clock and I have all this stuff to ship and I need to take a break from listing to get my things shipped for the day, that is really hard for me. I like things to start and end and not have breaks in between. I don't know if that's just me, but that can be hard for me, and I get very hyper focused on things, so I will be listing, and then lose track of time or whatever. So it's really hard to kind of break in the middle of things, to break up my day. So I think that just goes back to, you have to have a routine, which as far as shipping, I haven't quite figured out yet if I want to do that at the beginning of the day or the end. But yeah, figuring that out has been difficult with autism. But also filming these videos is really hard. I'm sure you probably noticed I have things in my head that I want to say, and I just can't verbalize them. I can't get them out. Being social, talking to people, that sort of thing is just really, really difficult for somebody with autism. So my weird pauses and, not being able to get out what I'm trying to say, you'll just have to bear with me because it is what it is. So I'm really hoping in the next few months to get some answers as far as what is causing my pain and all of these, unrelated issues. I don't think they are. I'm sure that there's a reason that my body is falling apart at 23. And I'm hoping to figure it out. Rebecca Black, who is also a reseller, has been amazing. She shared her health story, her story with chronic illness, and it has been such an inspiration to see somebody else who was like, okay, well, I can work right now because I feel good, and I'm going to bust these listings out, and I'm going to go to Savers, and I'm going to get done what I can get done. But then if I get a migraine, or if I get, stomach cramps or whatever, then I'm going to stop working, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. And that's been huge for me, just seeing her journey as well. So I could go more in detail about either of these issues, my chronic illness or my autism, if anybody wants to hear that. But I just kind of wanted to share, on the reseller front, that you can still do it. Reselling is amazing. You can do it under almost any circumstances. And I'm just I wake up every day so grateful that I can stay home and that I can do this job and make money and care for myself at the same time. So anyway, just wanted to share those things. If you have any questions or comments or whatever, leave them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Bye!